Lessons to be learned. The so-called Reformation synods and councils and the confessions and decrees they generated, which many Calvinists today honor as stating the true doctrine of Christ, were promoted by an established state church in partnership with the civil rulers, contrary to the Word of God. Always the overriding concern was for unity, and those who did not agree with the majority position were silenced, persecuted, imprisoned, banished, and sometimes executed. Just as the Roman Catholic Church had persecuted and killed those who did not agree with her down through the centuries, so the newly established Protestant churches began to do the same. Anabaptists, for example, were persecuted and killed by both Catholics and Protestants because the latter still believed in Augustine's baptism of infants into the family of God with its magical powers of regeneration, a Roman Catholic heresy that clung to Luther and Calvin and that clings to most of their followers to this day. History clearly records that these were the men and the motives behind the established creeds and confessions. Unquestionably, their modus operandi followed in the footsteps of Constantine. Not a true Christian, and thus not interested in truth, but in the unity of the empire, Constantine used Christianity to that end. Under him, the church, once persecuted by the world, became the persecutor. True Christians were still the ones being persecuted. The only change was that an oppressive church had joined the world to persecute those not subscribing to its dogmas. The new persecution was done in the name of Christ, but was the very antithesis of all Christ taught and lived, and for which he died. Following in the footsteps of Rome, which in most matters they opposed, the Protestant churches continued the same practice. We cannot and dare not ignore these facts in evaluating Reformation creeds and statements of faith that came from councils and synods called by the state for the sake of unity. Augustine had been happy to use the state in an unbiblical partnership to enforce faith upon heretics. Driven by the same belief, Calvin used the same system in Geneva. Nor can one deny the obvious relationship between this forcing of faith upon the unwilling and the two major doctrines of both Augustine and Calvin, total depravity and double predestination, with their concomitant denial of any genuine choice for mankind with regard to God and salvation. Freedom of conscience was the natural victim, a form of oppression that even the unsaved can tolerate only for so long.